When one is curious about the factors responsible for development of personality, one will come upon the theories of Sigmund Freud and Karen Horney. While they both made significant contributions to the field of psychology, only Horney considered the importance of studying female psychology as an independent entity and the impact of social interactions on the development. Freud's ideology was very phallocentric, bearing in mind that the population is made up of both sexes and that as children we are influenced by our environment. It is a clear choice to consider the impact of social interactions throughout childhood rather than repressed sexual urges to be the considerable factor in the makeup of one's personality. According to Freud, our personality develops from the interactions among what he proposed as the three fundamental structures of the human mind, the ego, and the superego. Conflicts among these three structures and our efforts to find balance among what each of them desires determines how we behave and approach them. Freud believed that the constant conflict between those structures are rooted in the psychosexual stages. What he failed to consider was the impact of environment, sociology, and culture. In addition, instead of expanding his research into the difference between female and male sexuality, Freud extended his views of male sexuality to women, viewing them simply as men without penises. He forgone any further studies into female sexuality, concluding that women were inferior to men because they did not have a penis, and from the phallic stage, their life centered around penis envy and later procreating as a way to compensate for lack of one. His narrow view not only failed to consider the impact of outside factors on personality, but also limited the difference between genders to only biological factors. Horney considered Freudian views on personality and women inferiority in order to create a personality theory that was more balanced between men and women. Horney argued that penis envy was not an innate psychological complex, but instead a product of gender power imbalances in patriarchal culture. Women did not envy the anatomy, rather they envied the power and privilege that came with it. In attempts to seek equality and independence, women often face social scrutiny for abandoning and lacking in their roles as wives and mothers. This unresolved internal battle among the sentiment of hostility and inability to express it drives the neurotic character development process and not sexual trauma as Freud presumed. New research confirms Horney's theory that feeling pressure to be the perfect mother is positively related to parental burnout, increased stress levels, and feelings of guilt, which leads to neurotic need to control others and unconscious effort to manage deep anxiety. In addition, Horney argued that Oedipal complex had little to do with sexual desires, but instead it was a product of insecurity in the relationship between parent and child. She focused on the long-term effects of emotional relationship between parent and child in the early childhood. She believed that our desire for security and research revealed that not only environment and presence of adult figures has significant influence on child's development, but that those interactions, or lack of thereof, have substantially higher influence on females. With her theory, Horney departed from a very narrow phallocentric sexual view onto a broad social approach to personality development. She was able to bring awareness to the influence of environment and female development and treat them independently, therefore presenting a much more plausible and realistic theory of